Captain David Mills stood at the massive window of the UN Space Command headquarters in Geneva, his hands clasped behind his back. He watched as the last Xeraxian ship, its crystalline hull gleaming in the sunlight, broke Earth's orbit and disappeared into the darkness of space. The date was August 15, 2157, and humanity had just lost its last alien ally. "Captain, they're requesting final confirmation of the treaty termination," said Lieutenant Emma Foster, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. She held up a tablet displaying the official document. David turned away from the window, his face showing no emotion. The command center buzzed with activity as dozens of officers tracked the departing alien vessels on their screens. Each blip of light representing an ally ship felt like a stab in the back. "Confirm it," he said quietly. "Make sure we have recordings of everything." Admiral Lisa Chen walked into the room, her uniform crisp despite the fact she hadn't slept in 36 hours. "The Galactic Alliance's official statement just came through," she announced, her voice carrying across the command center. "They cite resource constraints and strategic realignment as their reasons for withdrawing from the Earth Protection Treaty." "Convenient excuses," David muttered. He had spent 5 years working alongside these aliens, learning their ways, sharing technology, and building what he thought were genuine friendships. Now they were running away like scared children. A young officer rushed into the room, nearly tripping over his own feet. "Captain, Dr. Cooper needs you in Lab 7 immediately. She says it's urgent." David nodded to Admiral Chen and hurried through the steel corridors of the underground facility. The walls, once decorated with flags of various alien species, now seemed starkly empty. He found Dr. Rachel Cooper hunched over a holographic display, her red hair messy from hours of work. "Look at this," Rachel said without looking up. She pointed to a pattern of energy signatures on her screen. The Xeraxians didn't take everything with them. They left behind some of their core technology in the lunar base. David leaned closer. They were supposed to take all their tech. That was part of the agreement. Rachel finally looked up, her green eyes bright with excitement. "Exactly. But they didn't. And I don't think it was an accident." She pulled up another screen showing complex equations. "These systems are some of their most advanced. Shield generators, weapons arrays, even some of their AI cores. Are you saying they left them on purpose?" "I think some of our allies didn't agree with the withdrawal." Rachel stood up and began pacing. "Think about it. The Xeraxians were always the most friendly toward humans. Maybe this is their way of helping us without openly defying the Alliance's decision." Before David could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. They rushed back to the command center, where Admiral Chen was already issuing orders. "Long-range sensors have picked up multiple ships entering the solar system," Emma reported, her fingers flying over her console. "They're not broadcasting any identification signals." David looked at the tactical display. The unknown ships were approaching from the direction of the Kravik Empire, a hostile civilization that had been kept in check only by Earth's alliance with the other species. "They're not even waiting a day," Admiral Chen said grimly. "The vultures are already circling." "Ma'am," David stepped forward. "Request permission to lead the defense fleet." Chen shook her head. "Negative, Captain. I need you working with Dr. Cooper. If those abandoned alien systems are really still in the lunar base, they might be our best chance at surviving what's coming." Rachel was already pulling up technical specifications on her tablet. "We can adapt them, improve them. Human engineers have always been good at making things work in ways they weren't designed for." David looked around the room at the determined faces of his fellow officers. The aliens might have abandoned Earth, but humanity wasn't helpless. They had survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and their own near destruction of the planet. They would survive this too. "Admiral," he said, "request permission to initiate Project Phoenix." Chen's eyebrows rose. Project Phoenix was a theoretical plan for integrating human and alien technology in ways the Alliance had never approved of. It had been shelved as too aggressive, too ambitious. The Admiral smiled for the first time that day. "Permission granted, Captain. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can do when we stop playing by everyone else's rules." As David and Rachel hurried toward the research labs, Emma's voice came over the intercom. "Multiple contacts confirmed. Kravik Empire warships entering the outer solar system. Time to intercept. 6 hours." The race to save Earth had begun. 6 months after the aliens left Earth, Lieutenant Emma Foster sat in her dark office, staring at streams of data flowing across her screens. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago, but she barely noticed. Something in the Kravik Empire's communications didn't make sense. "Computer, run the pattern analysis again," she said, rubbing her tired eyes. The artificial intelligence processed the intercepted alien signals, highlighting unusual patterns in red. Her computer beeped. "Pattern match found. Communications show 87% similarity to pre-war activities from historical conflicts." Emma sat up straight. "Send everything to Captain Mills immediately." In the lunar base, David Mills and Rachel Cooper were testing new shield systems when Emma's message arrived. The huge chamber, filled with a mix of human and abandoned alien technology, hummed with power. "David, you need to see this," Rachel called out, looking at her tablet. Emma found something big. David walked over, his footsteps echoing in the massive room. "Show me." Rachel pulled up Emma's data. "The Kravik Empire isn't just testing our defenses. They're preparing for a full invasion. Look at these supply movements, fleet positions, and communication patterns. How much time do we have? Based on these readings? Maybe 2 weeks." David touched his communicator. "Get me Admiral Chen. Now." In Geneva, Admiral Chen called an emergency meeting. The command center's main screen showed a map of known Kravik fleet movements. Emma stood before the gathered officers, explaining her findings. "The withdrawal of our allies wasn't random," she said, pointing to different sectors of space. "The Kravik Empire threatened each of them. They had to choose: abandon Earth or face destruction." Angry murmurs filled the room. Admiral Chen raised her hand for silence. "How sure are we about this?" "Very sure," Emma replied. "I found encrypted messages between Kravik commanders. They'd been planning this for years. They saw Earth as the weakest part of the Alliance. Break us, and the whole Alliance crumbles." David stepped forward. "They're wrong about us being weak, Dr. Cooper." Rachel touched her tablet, and new images appeared on the screen. "We've successfully combined human innovation with the alien tech left behind. The results are better than anyone expected." She showed videos of test flights and weapons demonstrations. The new hybrid ships moved faster and hit harder than anything Earth had before. The gathered officers watched in amazement as a test ship easily destroyed several automated targets. "How did you improve the alien tech so quickly?" someone asked. Rachel smiled. "Human creativity. The aliens always followed their original designs. We looked at their technology and asked, how can we make this better? Then we did what humans do best. We experimented." The room's mood shifted from worry to excitement as Rachel explained more about their progress. But Emma wasn't finished with her report. "There's more," she said grimly. "The Kravik Empire doesn't just want to defeat us. They want to make an example of Earth. Show everyone what happens to planets that try to join the galactic community." Admiral Chen stood up. "They'll find out what happens when you corner humans. Captain Mills, how many of the new ships can we have ready in 2 weeks?" 3 are almost complete. 5 more could be ready if we work around the clock." "Do it," Chen ordered. "And Dr. Cooper, keep pushing the improvements. We need every advantage we can get." As the meeting ended, David caught up with Emma in the hallway. "Good work finding those messages. But I know that, look, there's something else worrying you." Emma nodded. "The encryption on some of those Kravik messages. It's similar to what our former allies use. I think some of them might be helping the Empire, trying to save themselves." David's face hardened. Then they'll learn the same lesson as the Kravik Empire. Humanity doesn't break easily. In orbit above Earth, the first of the new hybrid ships began its final testing. Its hull gleamed with a mixture of human and alien metals, weapons charged with power that its original designers never imagined possible. On its side, painted in bold letters, was its name, Phoenix 001. As David watched the ship from the lunar base's observation deck, Rachel joined him. "The Kravik Empire thinks they're coming to destroy a weakened planet," she said. "Instead, they're about to meet a humanity that's stronger than ever." "Send the order to all shipyards," David replied. "Full production, maximum speed. When the Empire comes, we'll show them what happens when you push humanity into a corner." In the darkness of space, the first Kravik scout ships were already crossing the outer edges of the solar system, unaware that they were about to face something unprecedented, a humanity that had taken alien technology and made it their own. Dr. Rachel Cooper hadn't slept in 2 days, but she couldn't stop smiling. In the main testing chamber of the lunar base, she watched as Chief Engineer Marcus Brown connected the last power cables to their newest creation. "Ready for final power-up," Marcus called out, his dark hands moving quickly over the control panel. "All systems are green." Rachel checked her readings one more time. They had done what their alien allies had always said was impossible. They had combined Xeraxian shield technology with human plasma weapons. The result sat before them: a cannon that could punch through any known defense. "Start the test," she ordered. The weapon hummed to life, its core glowing with blue-white energy. In the testing range, old alien shield barriers waited as targets. These were the same shields that had once protected Earth's cities. Captain David Mills watched from the observation room above. "All personnel, clear the testing area," he announced over the speakers. "Weapon test starting in 10 seconds. The cannon fired. A beam of light brighter than the sun struck the first shield. For a split second, nothing happened. Then the shield shattered like glass, and the beam continued through 3 more barriers behind it. The room erupted in cheers. Marcus hugged Rachel, lifting her off her feet. "We did it. We actually did it." David's voice came over the speaker again. "Dr. Cooper, get up here. Now." In the observation room, David stood with Admiral Chen and several other officers. They all stared at the screens showing the test results. "Explain what we just saw," Admiral Chen demanded. Rachel caught her breath before speaking. "We found out why the aliens never combined these technologies. They were afraid to. The interaction could be unstable, dangerous, but we figured out how to control it." "How?" asked one of the officers. "Human computers," Marcus answered as he entered the room. "The aliens' AIs couldn't handle the complex power fluctuations, but we built a new system that could. We call it Atlas." David pointed to another screen showing the first Phoenix-class ship. "Can we put this weapon on our ships?" Rachel nodded. "We already are. Atlas can control up to 6 of these cannons per ship. The Kravik Empire won't know what hit them." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the base. Lieutenant Emma Foster's voice came over the emergency channel. "Multiple Kravik ships detected. They're coming in fast." "How many?" Admiral Chen demanded. 30 ships, ma'am. Bigger than anything we've seen before." David turned to Rachel and Marcus. "Is Phoenix 001 ready?" "Yes," Marcus replied. "We finished installing the last cannon an hour ago." "Then it's time." David looked at Admiral Chen. "Request permission to leave the defense, Mom." The Admiral nodded. "Permission granted. All hands to battle stations." The next hour was a blur of activity. David stood on the bridge of Phoenix 001, now named Humanity's Hope. The ship hummed with power as its new weapons charged. 5 more Phoenix ships formed up behind him, their crews ready for their first real battle. "Atlas system online," reported Marcus from his engineering station. "All weapons responding." Rachel worked at another console, monitoring the hybrid systems. shield strength at 130% of projected capacity. The improvements are working better than we thought. Enemy ships entering weapons range, Emma announced from her tactical station. They're charging weapons. David stood from his captain's chair. Send this message to all ships. This is the moment humanity shows the galaxy what we can do. These aliens thought we were weak without our allies. They thought we would be easy prey. Today, we proved them wrong. The first Kravik ship fired, its beam heading straight for Earth. Before it could hit, Phoenix 001 moved into position. The shot splashed harmlessly against their enhanced shields. Return fire, David ordered. All ships, attack pattern Delta. Show them what these new weapons can do. 6 Phoenix ships fired their hybrid cannons at once. The space between the fleets lit up like a new sun. When the light faded, 8 Kravik ships had been destroyed. The rest of the enemy fleet seemed to pause in shock. Again, David commanded, push them back. Protect Earth. As the battle raged, news spread across Earth's cities. People watched their screens as humanity's new ships, built with determination and ingenuity, drove back an enemy that had thought them defenseless. In Geneva, Admiral Chen watched the tactical displays with pride. Send word to all Earth's colonies, she ordered. Project Phoenix isn't just a success. It's the beginning of humanity's rise to power. The Phoenix ships pressed their attack, their hybrid weapons cutting through the enemy fleet. Today, the galaxy would learn a valuable lesson. Never underestimate human ingenuity. 3 days after humanity's first victory, Captain David Mills stood in the wreckage of a Kravik warship. His team had boarded the disabled vessel to gather intelligence. The ship's massive hulls were dark, lit only by their helmet lights. Captain, you need to see this. Lieutenant Emma Foster called from a nearby computer terminal. She had connected her tablet to the alien system. Their battle logs show something strange. David floated over in the zero gravity. What did you find? These ships weren't supposed to attack yet. They jumped the gun. Emma pointed to alien text scrolling across her screen. They were so sure we'd be helpless without our allies, they didn't wait for the main fleet. Their radio crackled. Captain, Rachel's voice came through. We've got company. Long-range sensors show 2 more Kravik battle groups entering the system. How many ships? David asked, already moving his team toward their exit point. 50 ships in each group, but that's not all. Rachel paused. We're picking up signals from our former allies' territories. They're watching us. Back on Phoenix 001, David met with his command staff. The ship's bridge showed holographic displays of the approaching enemy fleets. Chief Engineer Marcus Brown pointed to their new weapon systems. The hybrid cannons worked better than we hoped, he said, but using them drained more power than we expected. Atlas is learning to manage the power better, but we need time. Emma brought up her findings from the Kravik ship. Their next attack will be different. They know about our weapons now. They'll try new tactics. David turned to Rachel. How many more Phoenix ships can we field? 4 more are ready, she replied. That gives us 10 ships total. We're still outnumbered 5-1. Numbers aren't everything, David said. He pressed a button, showing a new battle plan. Atlas has been analyzing Kravik battle tactics. They always follow the same patterns their emperors created centuries ago. But we don't have to follow anyone's rules. The next day, the Kravik fleets arrived. Their ships formed perfect attack lines, just as their military doctrine demanded. They faced the seemingly small human fleet with confidence. On Phoenix 001's bridge, David watched the enemy approach. All ships, execute Operation Wildcard. The Phoenix ships scattered in what looked like chaos. The Kravik commanders, bound by their strict battle rules, hesitated. That hesitation cost them dearly. Atlas, take weapon control, David ordered. The AI system, understanding human creativity in a way alien computers never could, coordinated all 10 ships' attacks. Phoenix ships darted between enemy vessels, firing from unexpected angles. Their hybrid weapons struck weak points that only Emma's intelligence gathering had revealed. Atlas calculated power usage perfectly, ensuring maximum damage with each shot. "Look!" Marcus shouted, pointing to a side screen. "Those aren't just our former allies watching. Those are their people, their civilians. They're broadcasting this." Rachel checked her readings. He's right. Millions across the galaxy are watching us fight. The battle raged for hours. The Kravik ships, despite their numbers, couldn't adapt to human tactics. Their commanders tried to follow their ancient battle plans, while the Phoenix ships danced around them, striking from all directions. "Enemy ships breaking formation," Emma reported. "They're retreating." The bridge crew cheered, but David raised his hand for quiet. "Send this message to the retreating ships. This is Captain David Mills of Earth. You came to our system expecting to find a weak planet, abandoned by its allies. Instead, you found humanity standing alone, standing strong. Remember this day. Remember what happened when you thought we would be easy prey." Later, in Admiral Chen's office in Geneva, David watched recordings of the battle. "The Kravik Empire has pulled back to their borders," Chen said, "and our observers report interesting reactions from our former allies. Their people are asking questions about why their governments abandoned us." "They thought we needed them to survive," David replied. "We've proved them wrong." "More than that," Chen smiled. 3 hours ago, we received requests from 15 different worlds. They want to know if we would share our new technology." David looked out the window at Earth shining below. "What should we tell them?" "Tell them what they told us 6 months ago," Chen answered. "We'll consider their requests based on our resource constraints and strategic alignment." As David left the office, his communicator beeped. Rachel had a message. "You need to see what Marcus and I found in the Kravik ship's database. This war is bigger than we thought. Much bigger." The emergency sirens woke David Mills at 3 a.m. Earth time. He rushed to the bridge of Phoenix 001 as red warning lights flashed through the corridors. "Status report," he called out as he entered. Emma Foster looked up from her station, her face pale. "The Kravik Empire just launched their full invasion fleet. Over 200 ships, including their Emperor's personal flagship." "Where's Rachel?" David asked, studying the tactical displays showing masses of enemy ships approaching from multiple directions. "In Lab 7 with Marcus," Emma replied. "She says they found something crucial in the Kravik data, something about their shield design." The ship's intercom crackled. "Captain," Rachel's excited voice came through. "Get down here now. You need to see this." In the lab, Rachel Cooper and Marcus Brown stood before a holographic display of a Kravik warship. Parts of the ship's systems glowed in different colors. "Look at their shield matrix," Rachel pointed to a pulsing red section. The Kraviks copied this technology from another race thousands of years ago. They never fully understood how it worked. Marcus stepped forward. "But we did. Atlas helped us break down the code. Their entire shield system has a fatal flaw. If we hit it just right, we can take down any ship in their fleet with a single shot," Rachel finished. David's communicator beeped. Admiral Chen's voice came through. "Captain, the Kravik fleet is splitting up. They're targeting our colonies on Mars and Europa. We've got 15 Phoenix ships now," David said. "Not enough to defend everything." "There's more bad news," Emma added, walking into the lab. "I've confirmed it. 3 of our former allies have been secretly helping the Kravik Empire. They gave them maps of all our defense systems." David stood silent for a moment, then made his decision. "Rachel, how fast can you modify our weapons to target this shield flaw?" 2 hours per ship if we work fast." "You have 1 hour," David said. "Marcus, get Atlas ready for the biggest power management challenge yet. Emma, send everything you found about our traitorous allies to Earth Command." Across the solar system, human colonies prepared for battle. The Phoenix ships split into 3 groups. David took 5 ships to protect Mars. The rest divided between Earth and Europa. All ships, this is Captain Mills. David broadcast to the fleet. Today the Kravik Empire thinks they'll destroy everything we've built. They think numbers will win, but they don't understand what they're really fighting. Every time humanity has faced extinction, we've come back stronger. The Kravik fleet appeared in waves of blue light as they dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Their ships filled the space around Mars, weapons charging. Now, David ordered. The Phoenix ships fired their modified hybrid cannons. Beams of energy struck the Kravik ships at precise points. Shield systems flashed and died. Explosions bloomed in space like silent fireworks. It's working, Marcus shouted. Their shields are falling. The Kravik Emperor's flagship, a massive vessel twice the size of any Phoenix ship, moved to the front of their fleet. Its weapons fired, filling space with deadly energy. Evasive maneuvers, David commanded. Atlas, coordinate our attack pattern. The AI system moved their ships in perfect harmony, dodging enemy fire while striking back with devastating accuracy. Each shot found the fatal flaw in the Kravik shields. Message from Earth, Emma called out. They've driven back the attack force there. Europa is safe too. The Emperor's flagship launched a final desperate attack, charging straight at David's ship. But humanity had learned well from being abandoned. The Phoenix ships moved as one, their weapons combining into a single powerful beam that cut through the massive ship's shields and hull. As the Emperor's flagship exploded, the remaining Kravik ships began to retreat. On their screens, David and his crew could see their former allies' observation ships watching in shock. Send this message to all ships in the system, David ordered. The Kravik Empire tried to destroy us because they thought we were weak without allies. They were wrong. Humanity doesn't need anyone's protection. We stand on our own. Rachel looked up from her console. Captain, we're getting signals from dozens of worlds. They're all requesting emergency meetings with Earth's government. David smiled grimly. I bet they are. Tell them they'll have to wait. We're not finished yet. Sir, Emma asked. The Kravik Empire started this war, David said. Now we're going to finish it. Set course for their home world. It's time they learned what happens when you push humanity too far. The red dust of Mars swirled around the massive shipyards, where 20 new Phoenix-class vessels neared completion. 6 months had passed since humanity defeated the Kravik Emperor's fleet, and Earth had not wasted any time. Captain David Mills, now Fleet Commander Mills, walked through the control center with Rachel Cooper and Marcus Brown. Through the reinforced windows, they could see thousands of workers adding the final touches to the ships. Remember when we could barely build 6 ships? Marcus said, checking the production schedules on his tablet. Now we're making them faster than ever. Atlas manages most of the construction automatically. Rachel nodded, pride clear in her voice. And these ships are even better than our first ones. We're not just copying alien tech anymore. We're improving it in ways they never imagined. A young officer rushed up to them. Commander, urgent message from Lieutenant Foster. Emma's face appeared on the nearest screen. She was aboard a stealth ship near Kravik space. David, you need to see this. Our former allies are moving their fleets toward Kravik territory. They think we're weakened after the last battle. They're planning to take control of the Empire's worlds before we can. David's face hardened. They still don't understand. Put me through to Admiral Chen. In Geneva, Admiral Chen had already seen Emma's report. This is our chance, she said over the secure channel. Launch Operation Rising Sun. David turned to his team. Sound General Quarters. All Phoenix ships prepare for immediate departure. Within hours, 30 Phoenix ships jumped into faster-than-light travel. Their destination, the Kravik homeworld. But they weren't going to attack. They had a different plan. The former Allies' fleets arrived at Kravik space, ready to claim their prize. Instead, they found the Phoenix ships already there, forming a defensive line around the Kravik planets. This is Fleet Commander David Mills of Earth. David broadcast on all channels. These worlds are now under humanity's protection. Any hostile action will be met with immediate response. On his command screen, faces of alien leaders appeared one by one. The Zeraxian ambassador spoke first. Earth has no right to claim Kravik territory. We're not claiming anything, David replied calmly. We're protecting them while they rebuild. The Kravik people have asked for our help in forming a new government, one that won't repeat their emperor's mistakes. Rachel stepped forward. We're also sharing our technology with them, teaching them how to understand their own systems better, just as we'll share with any world that wants to work with us as equals. The aliens were silent. They had expected to find humans acting just like them, taking advantage of a weakened enemy. Instead, humanity was doing something unprecedented. Marcus's console beeped. Sir, we're getting requests from 12 different worlds. They want to establish direct diplomatic relations with Earth. No alliances, no treaties, just open dialogue. Emma's voice came through the command channel. Make that 20 worlds now. The news is spreading fast. Everyone wants to know how humans managed to improve technology that other species had used for thousands of years. Admiral Chen's image appeared on the main screen. The UN Security Council has approved our next step. You may proceed, Commander Mills. David stood straighter. To all worlds receiving this transmission, humanity remembers what it was like to be abandoned by allies. We remember what it was like to face extinction alone. We survive because we don't give up, and we don't stop learning and growing. He paused, looking at each alien face on his screen. Today, Earth announces the formation of the Terran Scientific Academy. Any species that wishes to learn and work together as equals is welcome to send their scientists and engineers. We will share our knowledge, and in return, we ask only for honest cooperation. Rachel smiled as she watched the responses flood in. Across the galaxy, peoples who had lived under the shadow of ancient alliances and empires saw a new way forward. Message from the Kravik Provisional Government, Emma reported. They're offering us their shipyards as a gesture of trust. They want to build Phoenix ships under our guidance. David looked at his team. Rachel, the brilliant scientist who had unlocked the secrets of alien tech. Marcus, the engineer who had helped humans surpass their former teachers. And Emma, whose intelligence work had saved them all countless times. Send our acceptance, he said. And remind everyone, this is just the beginning. Humanity isn't looking for allies to protect us or empires to rule. We're looking for partners who want to grow stronger together. As the former ally ships retreated, David watched the stars through his viewport. 6 months ago, Earth had stood alone. Now they stood as teachers, protectors, and innovators. Proof that being abandoned had only made humanity stronger. 1 year after the formation of the Terran Scientific Academy, Fleet Admiral David Mills stood in its grand hall on Mars. Through the massive dome above, he could see Phoenix ships patrolling the sky, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. Below him, thousands of beings from dozens of worlds moved through the Academy's corridors. Rachel Cooper, now Director of Technological Development, joined him at the observation window. Hard to believe this all started because we were abandoned, she said, watching alien students working alongside human teachers. Admiral. Emma Foster's voice came through his communicator. The last of our former allies has arrived for the conference. David smiled. Right on time. How many worlds are represented? 57 in total, Emma replied, including all 7 species that originally abandoned Earth and the reformed Kravik Federation. In the main conference chamber, Marcus Brown was finishing the setup of their latest innovation. A holographic display filled the center of the room, showing the new galactic trade routes and defense networks Earth had helped establish. As the alien representatives filed in, David took his place at the podium. He recognized faces that had once looked down on humanity as weak and dependent. Now they looked up at him with respect and perhaps a little fear. 1 year ago, David began. Earth stood alone. Our allies had abandoned us, thinking we would fall to the Kravik Empire. Instead, we rose stronger than ever before, but we didn't rise to conquer or dominate. Rachel stepped forward, activating the holographic display. Today, the Terran Scientific Academy has trained over 10,000 students from different worlds. Together, we've made discoveries that would have taken centuries working separately. Marcus added, the Phoenix-class ships, once built only by Earth, are now constructed in shipyards across 20 systems. But more importantly, each world has learned to improve upon the design in their own unique ways. Emma brought up images of the new defense network. Our patrol fleets don't just protect Earth anymore. They protect any world that asks for help, expecting nothing in return except cooperation and honest dialogue. A Zeraxian representative stood. And what of the technology you've developed? Surely Earth keeps its greatest advances secret. David shook his head. That kind of thinking is what held the galaxy back for thousands of years. Every discovery made at the Academy is shared with all member worlds. We advance together, or not at all. The hall erupted in discussion. On the screens above, they could see the news being broadcast to billions across the galaxy. The old alliances had been built on fear and dependence. Earth was offering something different. There are challenges ahead, David continued. New threats will emerge, but we won't face them by abandoning each other. Humanity learned that strength comes not from standing above others, but from helping them stand with you. Rachel activated another display, showing the Academy's next phase. We're opening 5 new campuses across different worlds. Any species that wants to learn is welcome. Any world that wants to contribute knowledge will be heard. As the conference continued, David stepped out onto a balcony overlooking the Martian landscape. Admiral Chen joined him there. The Security Council's latest report just came in, she said. Trade is up 300% across all sectors. Scientific breakthroughs are happening weekly, and diplomatic incidents are at an all-time low. David watched a group of alien children playing with human kids in one of the Academy's recreation domes. We did more than survive being abandoned, he said. We changed the way the galaxy thinks about power. Speaking of power, Chen smiled. Wait until they see what Rachel and Marcus are unveiling next week. The new fusion drive will revolutionize space travel again. Inside, the conference was wrapping up. One by one, representatives from worlds that had once abandoned Earth were signing new cooperation agreements. Not treaties of alliance or protection, but promises to work together, learn together, and grow together. Emma approached with a final report. Sir, the last holdout worlds have requested Academy membership. The entire known galaxy is now either part of the network or applying to join. David looked at his team. Rachel, Marcus, and Emma. They had all helped turn humanity's darkest moment into its greatest triumph. Earth had not just survived abandonment. They had shown the galaxy a better way forward. Send one last message to all worlds, David said. Tell them. Humanity remembers what it was like to stand alone. That's why we'll make sure nobody ever has to stand alone again. As the sun set on Mars, the Phoenix ships continued their patrols. But now, they weren't just symbols of human power. They were reminders that the greatest strength comes from lifting others up, not holding them down. Humanity had answered abandonment with power, but it was a power that illuminated rather than dominated. And that made all the difference.